Hello, everybody, and welcome to HJ Goes Live. I'm Charlotte, HJ's editor, and today we're joined by Jacqui McIntosh, who is the European Education Director for Avlon. Jacqui is going to be demystifying the myths around Afro hair textures. Welcome, Jacqui.
Hi, thank you for having me, Charlotte.
You're very welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you again. It's always a pleasure.
Brilliant. I hope I don't disappoint.
So you definitely won't. We're going to be talking about the myths around Afro hair textures today. And I feel like it's a very kind of important topic to be covering, not least because our HJ Insider survey recently found that almost 60% of our audience felt like they needed more Afro hair education. So it's a really vital conversation that we need to be having. I'd love you to kick us off with some main myths that are associated with excessively curly hair types.
I think the first one really is the name. I mean, I often feel that, for people that don't work with, and I'll just use the term Afro because it's the most common term that people associate black hair with. It's just that, years ago, I think that term could be used and held quite firmly. But in 2023, with the amount of cultural mixtures, with the amount of diversity within our communities, I think textured hair has exploded to such a sphere that to just tailor make it to just being Afro hair, it kind of gives a disservice to all the other textures that are incorporated within that, because even within the term Afro hair there are so many different textures, and I think you cannot put textured hair in a box, because you may have, I suppose what I'm trying to say, we try to put hair type and ethnicity hand in hand, and I feel that as we are growing as a culture and as a society, that's changing because of the diversity in our society. So for me, texture now in 2023 is a real big deal. And I think what I would say to people that are coming into this space or that are wanting to learn more within this space is to really come in quite open-minded and just forget all the previous terms and things that you've heard about, Afro hair being difficult, Afro hair needing massive amount of products to be used, that you can't color Afro hair, you can't perm Afro hair, all the things that you were told that you cannot do. The fact that it's so fragile, yes, it is a fragile hair type, but it becomes even more fragile if used and manipulated in the wrong way. So it's really about, like in anything in hairdressing, embracing that hair texture, but not putting it in a box, being aware of the different cultural mixes, being aware of the different curl patterns. And I think we have to tap in to that theme about curl patterns. I mean, I know that we have a numbering system. Some hate it, some like it. For me personally, I see the numbering system as a point of reference in the same way that we use a color chart as a point of reference. For somebody that knows absolutely nothing about hair types and hair textures, the numbering system is a good standpoint, because you kind of know, well, if I'm looking at something that is described as type 3 or type 4 hair, I have a visual of where that sits in terms of texture. I think where we have to be careful with the numbering system is where we just use it as carte blanche, or carte blanche, that word is, that's it. She's a 4C and that's all that person is, or they're a 3A and that's all that person is, because that is not the case. For us at Avlon, where we have been working with textured hair types for over 39 years now, even we as a company have had to look into the different diversities and the different spirals of where people's hair types are going. And even as far up to type 1 and type 2 hair, there are some common characteristics that can be associated with type 3 and type 4, which makes it very interesting from a manufacturer's point of view, because manufacturers now are looking at sciences and formulations that can actually work with the hair from a follicular level, more so from a topical level, to ensure that you are giving that level of moisturization across the board. So I think in answer to your question, because I think I'm going off at a tangent now, like I do, I think textured hair is an amazing category to come into, because I think there is so much diversity in that hair. There is so much scope from a creative point from a hairdresser. There is so much scope from a service point as a hairdresser, that I just think in this day and age, especially as a salon owner, even as a freelancer or a stylist, you will be doing yourself a disservice by not being able to cater for all hair types across the board. And if COVID has taught us anything, we cannot afford to sit in one box. We have to be multi-talented and multi-skilled. So making sure that we can cover every clientele is going to be important for our longevity within this industry.
I couldn't agree more. And I just wanted to touch on kind of the terminology that you're using and that Avlon as a brand is using. I know excessively curly hair is a term that's been used, Afro textured hair. Kind of where do you either personally sit or professionally sit on that spectrum?
Professionally, for me, I sit with excessively curly hair. And I'll tell you why. It just is based on what I've just said. For one, Afro is a hairstyle. It's not a hair texture. It is a hairstyle. So to use that as a terminology to describe someone's hair professionally, that doesn't sit with me. I can understand where layman's will use that term as a point of description, but as a professional that deals with hair types, to me, excessively curly hair sits better. The reason I use the term excessively curly hair is because its curl patterns are not a one-trick pony. On one person's head, you can have up to 3, 4, even more different curl patterns. So, you're actually, as a hairdresser, identifying the most excessive curl on that hair to then make your determination and your choice in product or service that you're going to deliver. So for me, the term excessively curly hair sits nicely in that, and it demystifies race from your selection, because I think sometimes when we use the term Black hair, European hair, Asian hair, it kind of stops people thinking or stop people selecting products to suit the hair that they see, because they're so focused on the skin color. Whereas to me, it's about looking at the hair, reading the hair, and understanding what that hair is telling you to then make your selection. And that's not saying that, ethnicity, skin color doesn't come into it. Of course it does. However, I think sometimes we allow that to blind us when it comes to our choice. And that's so evident when you go on the blogs, you go on YouTube, you watch consumers, they're using products that actually, from a professional stance, you'd be thinking, well, why are they using that? That's not for their hair type, but they are getting the results. So it makes you question, when we start putting things in boxes like that, what are we actually doing? Are we limiting ourselves, or are we allowing ourselves to grow? So I just think, for me, excessively curly hair gives you a clear indication of the frequency of curl that you are seeing within that hair type. And curl is about frequency. It's about how repetitive that curl pattern is, or how loose that curl pattern is. So for me, I just think personally that term sits nicely, and it just allows me to be able to explain what I mean when I'm talking about different curl patterns.
Real. So we've covered kind of terminology around Afro textured hair, excessively curly hair types, and we've covered why it's so incredibly important that we're, as salon professionals, talking to a wider range of audience, not only for business, it just makes business sense, but culturally, it's increasingly ever relevant. So would you be able to take us through kind of some of the Avlon Uberlist professional conditioning systems that are helping talk about texture and embrace it?
I think, the one key factor with all hair is, especially from a professional standpoint, all hair needs to be conditioned. The type of conditioners that are used on hair is where the difference really transpires. So, for instance, we already know when you start having a higher frequency of curl pattern within the hair type, there is going to be less hydration within those curl patterns and a need for more hydration and moisture to be applied. We know that further down the scale, as much as you still do need hydration and moisturization, it's in a different format, because that hair produces a lot more natural hydration and moisturization. So for Avlon, I think what makes us very unique is we've worked at that lower scale in terms of type for hair and that high frequency of curl pattern. And over the years, we've produced groundbreaking conditioners that have supported that curl pattern and allowed professionals to use products in a way that actually, if you were to go 20 years further, they would never be able to do that. And if I start with even our a firm relaxer systems, that was a groundbreaking relaxer service over 20 years ago that to date we still have patents and within our system and within our conditioners that makes that system outsell or outstand any other relaxer system in the marketplace. And then you come forward to 2023 to our Uberlist system, which we've now created a new patented technology of submicron molecules that go deeper within our bond system that actually allows us to condition from a follicular level, which again is groundbreaking because that submicron technology is what separates Uberlist to any other bond system in the marketplace. And for how deep that can go and how we replenish those bonds with our shampoos and with our conditioners and with our styling products, we are taking hair to levels that hair has never been taken to before. If you look at some of our tests, and our patent is there for anybody to read, we're taking hair's elasticity levels of 121%. That's taking hair beyond their natural state and improving that. Now, for me, that's breakthrough. And for the geeks amongst us in terms of hairdressers that love the science, that's amazing to know that you can use a chemical in someone's hair, you can break bonds down, and you can come out of that hair and leave it stronger than before you entered. Phenomenal. But from a hairdresser's perspective on the salon floor, what it then tells me is that as a hairdresser, I can deliver services with assurances to my clients that I'm bleeding that hair with absolutely the best integrity. And that, especially when you're working with textured hair, is phenomenal. But even when you're going to the other side of the spectrum for your type 1 and your type 2 hair types, it's even more important because what is the biggest service that is used within those hair types? It's color, it's bleach. So to be able to guarantee the condition of that hair, it's phenomenal. Again, when you're looking at type 1 and type 2 hairs, what are the biggest major causes of hair damage? Heat. Everyone uses straighteners, everyone uses blow dryers. So again, to be having that added protection to ensure that those clients leave the salon with their hair in the ultimate integrity, again, is phenomenal. So for me, where we are with conditioners now is that we can facilitate across the board because we've got a proven record at the most fragile level of hair, and we've taken that right across the spectrum now to all hair types, which if you look at our conditioning history, I think it places us perfectly in the right arena.
Amazing. And in terms of kind of new technologies and new faces and new elements to the brand, I know you've, as the Avlon family, has been embracing new textured hairstylists and bringing them to the family. Can you talk a little bit about that and who's joined the company and how you're growing?
I mean, for us as a company, it's, one of the things that we've always believed in is in salon education. And, that's really a dying service with a lot of manufacturers because it is expensive. But the one thing that our founder has always insisted on is that we do in-salon education for our Avlon customers. So it's something that we've continued to do for over 40 years. We have educators that go in and support our salons and make sure that, they are confident in using our products. I think since the media hooray about textured hair, we've had a lot of salons that have come into work with textured hair and need that support to actually be able to not only carry out the services, but if you've never worked with textured hair before, how do you put those services on a service menu? How do you attract those clients? How do you let those clients know that you deliver those services? So I think we've gone even beyond just showing people how to use the products. We're actually working with salons in how to develop that side of their business. So that's been really great with us. Working with people like the Fellowship, doing Project Afro, bringing people on board that have never touched textured hair before, but actually giving them that opportunity to meet some of the hairdressing greats that have been mentors for the project, and also, you know, giving them the opportunity to work with these products and to see the benefits that not only their current clients can have, but obviously the new clients that they want to attract and bring into their salon businesses. So for us, you know, working with new suppliers, working with new salons, and even new freelancers, we have a lot of calls from freelancers for training and for business support in terms of using the products as well. And we've been able to facilitate all of that. In terms of new team members, I mean, we are so fortunate as our Ublis ambassador to have Claire Chow on board with us. All of our Avlon educators work on hair types across the board. So we've always had that, but we're now bringing in a next generation of educators to come on board and bring their best foot forward and deliver within our salons. And that's really exciting. So we have your old heads like me, and now we've got a new generation of educators that are on the ground out there in salons, delivering to the professional stylists and supporting them with their work. We've done a lot of work with people like Elwood Douglas, Anthony Grant. There's really good people that have enjoyed working with Avlon over the last couple of years since we've had our changeover. So yeah, it's a really exciting time to be with Avlon, and obviously with the launch of Ublis this year, it's just going to get bigger and bigger because the demand is just cool. I can't even keep up with making sure we've got enough people to go out there and deliver the education that we've got. So it's exciting.
In terms of seeing that education firsthand, I did actually go to a, I think it was with Blue Chit actually, like an education session for Avlon. That was brilliant to see. Taking shape and see how like engaged the salon was with that. And obviously they're a big London chain, so it's really spreading the message far and wide. And I know from Salon International and you guys being at our colour pods, what a wonderful team Claire and yourself make there. Like, I can encourage anyone that's listening to this to go and speak directly to Jacqui and Claire at the colour pods, because you're a mine of information and you're so engaging. And people don't necessarily, you know, they've got like worries about working with textured hair and they haven't done that before. It's such an open environment to ask any question you want to. So I think that's really important for people to know.
And I think as well, people need to give themselves a break, because I just think it's, for me, it's working with textured hair is kind of similar to how it was with working with colour. You know, most people learnt to do your basic colour at college, but then when you left college and went onto the salon floor, unless you were an actual colour salon, you know, if most hairdressers would hold their hands up and say to you, oh no, I know how to do a root tint, but that's as far as I go. But we've had to educate ourselves and grow our colour knowledge. And it's no different to working with textured hair. It's just basically learning the fundamentals. Once you can service a decent blow dry and a treatment, then everything else will follow through. I think sometimes when we talk about textured hair, I think what people feel, and even some that I've spoken to, is that, oh, you know, we don't do relaxers and we don't do, you know, we don't do perms. And you just think, well, that's one facet of textured hairdressing. There are lots of other things that you can do. And again, you know, I always say, you know, when I'm teaching, I always say to my students, you know, you look at textured hair in this way. When you're doing European hairdressing, you know, most of your average bill is based on a cut and finish. When you're working with textured hair, your average bill is based on a treatment and finish. So as long as you know how to analyze the hair and scalp to deliver a good shampoo and conditioning treatment and a decent blow dry, that's a textured hair service right there. You can build anything else on top of that, but it's just learning those basic fundamentals first. So I just feel sometimes people feel that they need to do everything in textured hair. No, you don't. You just do what is accommodating within your space. And then if you choose to build on the after, then you can take courses or small courses around the areas that you're interested in. So you don't have to do every element, but, you know, just learn fundamentals.
That's really a good point to make. And I guess Avlon's supporting that progress and that journey for people with their hero products. So I know we wanted to do a shout out to Keracare, the wax stick, and then
Keracare wax stick. I mean, everybody
waxing
loves
lyrical.
the Keracare wax stick. I mean, you know, You can't, we as educators, whenever we're doing anything and you can guarantee everyone will got a wax stick in their bag. And most of the hairdressers that I speak to love our wax sticks because it's so universal in how you can use it. It can work across all hair types. And it's just so easy to use, and it's just so compliant with what you want to do, whether it's to keep edges down, whether it's to give definition. Amazing bridal hair work across the board. It's amazing.
Bro. And then I know the Uberlist Bond Healing Spray is probably going to be a new front runner and an exciting launch to talk about too.
Yeah. Obviously we're launching Uberlist in phases across the board, and the healing spray is here. But we had, as educators, obviously we work with this 6-9 months prior to it coming to market, and we're just down to the last batch, and we are fighting amongst ourselves about this healing spray. I mean, we've got an event next week at Hunter Collective, and one of the key things in my email box is we've got Bond Healing Spray, we've got Bond Healing, and I know they all have Bond Healing Spray, but they're just up in the ante. They're trying to bamboozle me. But, you know, again, the what can I say about it? It is basically a bond treatment on the go. And, you know, coming back to that, keeping integrity in hair, it's such a multifaceted product in terms of you can use it while you're cutting hair, you can use it for clients that haven't got the time to sit and have a bond treatment, and you know that you're improving elasticity, you're improving the hydration in the hair, you're reducing porosity, and it's from one multifaceted leave-in conditioner. And why? Because it's got that submicron technology within it that's within the bond system. So our bond healing spray is amazing. Another factor for it is the heat protection. Protects the hair from heat to up to 230 Celsius. Now, you would never use that in normal circumstances, but to know that you've got that level of protection, again, makes it a game changer. So yeah, our bond healing spray is a clear front runner for myself and the other educators. We love it and we fight over it.
I love that kind of response to a product when people are lying about how much they have left. That shows.
Yeah, they do. They're terrible, honestly. They go, oh, you know, are we going to have one healing spray? I'm thinking, well, hold on a minute. You had one in your last batch. Surely you haven't used that all already. So they're just making sure that, you know what hairdressers are like. We're like this. We love products. We just love to have them.
Right, too right.
So yeah.
I'm with you on that.
That's the hero product.
Oh,
but again, sorry.
No, you go, Jacqui.
I was going to say again, you know, there are, you know, we're very fortunate. I love being an educator because we're very fortunate. We do get to test things way ahead of time before they come into the marketplace. And I think for Uberlist, there's just going to be so many exciting things coming. We've got our bond healing spray. We've got our Frizz Alexa, which is our serum. We've got our flexing hairspray. Honestly, the best hairspray ever. And I know it makes it sound like I'm being, what's the word? Obviously I would say that, but no, it is an amazing. That's another one that people are fighting for because we're on our last batch until we get our launch in the UK. But just all I would say to your listeners or people watching, you know, give Avlon a try. We will not disappoint you. We, regardless of whether you do type 1 hair to type 4 hair, we have products that will facilitate all your clientele. We have an education team that are second to none, and we have products that are satisfaction guaranteed. And that's who we are.
What a brilliant note to end our live on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Jacqui, and you're a fount of all knowledge and you're so open and so welcoming and approachable. So yeah, much appreciated.
I'll pay you for that later, darling. Thank you.
And I just want to say have a wonderful rest of your day. And
I will do. Thank you so much. And you, thank you for taking the time.
Big thank you to Avlon as well for sponsoring today's session. Bye.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.